What is up, all my fishing addicts out there? You know what today is, right? Tacklebox Tuesday. All right, so let's get into it. The topic of today's video is staying sharp, all right? Maintenance. It's always important to maintain your equipment within any tackle box, whether it's your knives, your rods, your reels, even just your line. You got to make sure that, you know, after you're fishing in saltwater or freshwater, you got to rinse out that line off, especially if you got mono. All right, but I digress. I won't get off on a tangent. What we are going to be going into is the proper way to sharpen your knife. As you probably saw in the thumbnail, I got a few different knife sharpening apparatuses, whatever. All right. First we have right here, you get your little handheld sharpening devices. This came with my Rapala fillet knife. This one here is a South Bend. They're both the same. Has two sharpening stones in the middle right here. You can see the white part. And that came with another fillet knife I had that just took a dump on me. Right here. I know you've all seen this in TV shows or movies. This is the good old sharpening stick. I forgot what it's called. But anyway, and then we have our sharpening whetstones. Okay, I'm getting into the whetstones because there is a fine line between it's sharpened to, oh my god, I almost cut my finger off. Okay, so I have before me and before you several knives ranging from my bait cutter to your standard household knife. Okay, and I'm going to go into each one of these to show you exactly how to use it and which type of sharpener you'll use. Now, let's dive right in. Okay, so first we have our handhelds. These will typically be good for just keeping a good decent edge on your fillet knives. Okay, so this, it's really self-explanatory. I'm not going to treat you like you're dumb, but there is one key thing. Once after you've been using this a while, what you'll notice, you just take it, set it in the back like so. You can see it from all angles. Put it in all the way at the base of the blade. Pull it right through. The less grinding you hear means the sharper it is. Now, if I normally keep my blades relatively sharp, so you probably won't hear that much. Yeah, you hear it coming from just the actual rubbing. Okay, so this is already pretty sharp. I'll show you a couple zoom-ins later on in the video. So, we're done with this one, right? Now, we have the South Bend one. Same thing. But this has like a little fingertip holder, so I guess it's a little bit safer to where you can go ahead and like so. You hear that grind? Now, I'll show you the difference on why you hear a grind. Look closely. What do you notice? The difference is the angle of the sharpening stones in the middle. Okay, so now that I've dulled this one, I'm going to go ahead. Okay, you didn't hear anything from that one, but now I go ahead, you could hear it more. Now as we go, you always want to make sure you do it with nice gentle pressure. You're not trying to saw anything. Nice even pressure. Okay, let me take it out. And then you also, even though you're always going to hear something, but the key for this is feel. You'll be able to feel it. You can't feel it through the video, but you'll feel it through in real life. So we're done with that. Now, your sharpening tool. This you can use with your tack knife that I have, a regular, just like a little one of those gas station knives. Had my name on it. Thought it was pretty cool. $5-10 figure. It's always good to have around. You never know when you're going to need a blade. And got my Reaper. And we're back to the household cuisine art knife. Okay, so for this, I will show you. You're going to take this at approximately a 45-degree angle, and as you go along, you're going to go up the blade, keeping steady pressure and curving out. Because I will show you closely. You see the little grooves? Those are what's going to be prying off the burrs and the edges. Okay? So let's check it out in POV. Alright guys, so check it out. When we take our stones, we make sure that they are fully submerged. Okay? You guys see the bubbles coming out? You don't have to put it in the water so deep, but I want you to take a look at that. What's happening right now, as much as we were talking about earlier, is the water is actually filling the gaps in between the stone. Okay? Little scientific fact for you, because what's going to happen is the water is going to fill in the gap where the grit is. And that's going to hydraulically press the grit together. So as you're sliding the knife across the stone, it's going to use the pressure of the water. So we're going to wait till these are done, bubbling up. And once the bubbles are done, we're going to get to the sharpening. So we have our knife sharpener. We have our knife. Ding ding. So we're going to take it right here. And you can hear it. You hear that? Hopefully you can. Okay. That is... And you can even see, if you put this in slow motion, how... See that? How it's kind of gripping? I'm doing it slow, but you're supposed to do it at an even pace. So you want to do it on each side evenly. Pretty easy, right? Now you can see real close as I zoom in. Sorry about the shine, it's the lighting. But you can see how fine the edge has gotten, and I can definitely feel the difference. So, once again, we go back over it. Just go over it really. You don't have to be a, super chef, but just... And there you go. Ta-da. And here's where we get into the fun stuff. Let's go ahead and bring this a little closer. I'll tilt the camera down so you guys can see it. Okay, I'm also going to use that kitchen knife for an example. So as I showed you a little bit earlier with soaking the blades, okay? Or not the blades, soaking the whetstone. Right here I have the G Ting set. I will show you that a little bit later. This is your 400, your 1000 grit, and on this side you have your 3000 and 8000. No matter what, you always want to start off with the lowest number possible, because you don't know how far it is along the blade, and this will also make sure that your blade is evenly sharpened. Now this G-Ting sharpening stone comes with level. I don't use it just because it kind of gets in my way and falls off. So let's go ahead and pour a little bit more water on there to make sure it's staying nice and wet. Okay. So like I said before, and you're going to alter this depending on the thickness of your blade. Like you're not going to go the same angle as this as you are with the Reaper, because as you can tell, if I go back to back, significant difference in thickness. So you're not going to get the right quality. Now you do the same thing right here as you would with the other sharpeners. keep it down flat and move it along. And then on the one side, you keep it along, move it flat like that. Or whether you go back to front, or you can do it the same 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. I prefer, it really doesn't matter actually. So I just want to make sure I got it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now if you notice, I go all the way to the edge, like so. Take it right here and go all the way. Because if you don't, wherever it stops is going to be wherever the burrs are. So then I got a decent cutting edge. Now what I'll do is I will flip it over to the 1000 grit. It's nice and wet already. You can hear the grind, I'm sure. Ooh, that's not pleasant to the ears. Ooh. And then when you're satisfied with your cutting edge, you move it along to your next. And this would be the 3000, and then the bottom, the white, is the 8000. That's the finest, which is good for sharpening thinner blades, more so over here, or perfecting your sharpness. If you have a thicker blade, you really don't need to go much more than the 3000, okay? But if you want a nice shiny polished edge, like so, pretty. Now I'm going to show you something. See that blue? I am going to show you guys a little trick. So, we take our permanent marker, Sharpie, and you just kind of, if you don't have one of those, what are they called? The guides. Okay, now remember it's a Sharpie, so it's not going to wash off. I've already sharpened this just because I use it on bait and stuff like that, so I got to cut through bone, tough scales and whatnot. So I like to keep this as sharp as possible and polished. Now, if you don't have the proper, the angle thing that I'll show you in a little bit, and you haven't perfected your skill, a good way to do it is you can put a little mark Sharpie right there, and as you go along, if it wears off on one swoop, then that means you have the right angle. See that? It only got it on one spot. So I'll take this and I'll move it over. Now you can see on the blade where it's worn it off. Each one shows a different marking. See what I mean? Now, with the curved blade, you're going to have to do it a little bit differently. So you're going to start, just like you do any other knife, start at the very back. But because it's curved, you're going to have to angle it more along. My bad. I want to make sure it's centered. Okay, so you'll see right here where it is. As you move forward on the stone, with a curved blade, you're going to have to keep this base more so along the line of this. So let me make sure and keep the stone wet. If you don't keep your stone wet, you can damage it and also dull your knife. So we go voila. You can see where it's marking it very, very low at the top. got a perfect angle over here, and I'm getting the angle down there. There we go. Now you can see as I go along, I tilted the knife too much to one side. That's where the angle is up the top. So now I'm going to have to go down. And you can see with each angle as I tilt the knife where it's affecting the blade. I'll bring it back. A couple more times. And there we go. So the last thing we got, get that little residue off there. And so, like I said, with the sharp blade, you're going to want to go start, and then as you come in, turn it. Now you may be asking, what do I do with one of these with the serrated? Well, easy fix. May sound, some people may be afraid to ask, but hey, that's what everybody's here for. Nobody's an expert in everything. Some are just knowledgeable about little about a lot. So for this, you see the serrated edge, right? All you do is you use the serrated edge as your buffer back and forth. So you want to be careful, obviously. So you don't grip into that. So we're done with this thing, this little cheap thing. Oh, nice. Actually sharpened it a bit more. Now we're going to move into our last and final blade, so you guys can just click next and watch another really cool video. So, you might be asking, what do I do with a pointed blade? Same thing as you did with the other one, with the curved. You start at the base, get a nice flat edge. Just go one side at a time. And then you did those two marks on this side. Now you just tilt where the point is on the blade. Use that as your base. See? You can hear it. You can tell which side of the knife I use more. And you can tell right here, you can see the discoloration. That's actually the rust and whatnot coming off the blade. So, you can all tell that the blade has been sharpened from when I just started using it to now. You can see that nice pretty shine. Now the last thing you want to do is, after you've gotten both sides even, I did 3 on each side, up here and down here, you'll do, I would say, about 2 more just to make sure the blade is even. So you'll start at the hilt, or close to the hilt of the blade. Keep it nice and flat, and then gradually turn it. Now if you can watch again, I go, oops, sorry about that. I'm going flat, and as I'm going along, I'm gradually turning it. That way you got a nice, and I'll show you from this side too. So I'm coming right here, and gradually turning the blade. That way it's not going to round it. It'll still keep that little angle, and you're good to go. And you can tell on both sides of the blade. Which part's which. Now I'm going to show you one real cool thing, okay? So you can see real close. That's the 400 grit. Now watch the difference. And please, please, please make sure, always safety first. Keep it in these rubber mounts. And once you get better at it, you can just do like I'm doing. But if once you start out, you know, just do one side at a time. Like so. And if you'll notice, it's not going to harm it as long as you're not pushing too hard. So you can just go like that, just the one side. And then go here. Like that. And you can see it's not digging in. And now look. You can even see there's a lot less burrs and ridges if you look really close compared to the 400. Now, for educational purposes, let's go ahead and water up a little bit more. And voila, you can see how the metal is more shiny and shiny. That just means you're getting a lot sharper of a blade and there's less burrs. And then once again you go to the 8000. This is basically for just polishing, like I said before. Just do it quick so I can wrap up the video for you guys. Now you may be noticing that I'm doing it a little bit differently. It is not as different as you might think. All it is just I'm doing it a little bit faster. See? A little bit of water. No cuts or burrs or edges. Now, boom. Look at that. Almost looks like it's just fresh melted. And that, my friends, is that. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that instructional video. Remember, always, always, always maintain your gear. Take care of your gear and it will take care of you. I promise you that. Whether you're getting store brand or whether you're getting Shimano or, in my case, Reaper, take care of it and it will take care of you. That being said, keep them lines tight, them rods bent. We out.